Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ashland's 30th annual MLK celebration. Now, please welcome our MC, D.L. Richardson.
Good morning. Gotta do better than that. Good morning. Oh, wait, it's afternoon, never mind. I just want to say to Naya, thank you so much for introducing me. What a wonderful thing to have done. Naya is going to be part of what you see during the entire celebration today because we want to show the importance of children in this community and of children in the world that we now live in and what they are going to inherit and what they are going to have to straighten up. So we want to keep that going. And Naya did a great job, and I thank you so much for that. Well, here we are. 30 years that you have put this together. Give yourselves a hand. I want to say also thanks so much to Bishop Mayfield and Friends Band. Give them a hand. They did a great job. I just moving. I saw all the seats kind of moving, swaying side to side when we were in. And then some of me was moving too, more weight now. But anyway. And I want to say to them, or say to you, that they're going to be back to end our show. So we're going to get a chance to hear them again. So thank you. So on April 4th, 1967, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered a sermon entitled Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence. Theological historian Dr. Diana Bass spoke of this speech as being an argument by King that civil rights and world peace are interwoven, that we can't put down and sprout hate for our fellow citizens of the world and expect to grow this world into a better place. She spoke of King calling for revolutionary love, the urgency of change, and for an ecumenical world community. King spoke to that world that evening to commit himself to an eternal hostility to poverty, racism, and militarism. King spoke these words in that sermon. Every nation must now develop an overriding loyalty to mankind as a whole in order to preserve the best in their individual societies. This call for a worldwide fellowship that lifts neighborly concern beyond one's tribe, race, class, and nation, and is in reality a call for an embracing and unconditional love for all men. Let us hope that this spirit will become the order of the day. We can no longer afford to worship the God of hate or bow before the altar of retaliation. The oceans of history are made prevalent by the everlasting tides of hate. History is cluttered with the wreckage of nations and individuals that pursue this self-defeating path of hate. We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. We still have a choice today: nonviolent coexistence or violent co-annihilation. We must pass indecision to action. We must find new ways to speak for peace and justice throughout the developing world. A world that votes us on our doors. If we do not act, we shall surely be dragged down the long, dark, and shameful corridors of time, reserved for those who possess power without compassion, might without morality, and strength without sight. 1 year to the day, April 4th, 1968, an assassin's bullet ended Dr. King's life. But not his dream, not its influence, not the change that had to come then, and certainly not the change that has to come now. Thank you for joining us here for our 30th anniversary of the Martin Luther King Jr. Ashland and Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. Thank you so much. So keeping with our theme, the urgency of now, tomorrow is today. Our next performance is a musical group from Zenith Middle School. Glance over at the future, ladies and gentlemen. They are from Central Point, led by music teacher John Foster. This is Mr. Foster's last year before retiring. For 27 years, he has been committed to sharing his love of music with his students and with the community. His passion for the art of teaching and his dedication to his students is unmatched. John Foster has an endearing and complete commitment to the music, magic, and significance of music in everyone's life. He will not be easy to replace, and he will truly be missed. So we wish you the best, Mr. Foster, in your retirement. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Zenith Middle School.
Hi, I'm Izzy Hansen, and I'm in 6th grade.
Hi, I'm Natalie Lindblom, and I'm in 7th grade.
Hi, I'm Erin Bechtold, and I'm in 8th grade.
And we are very honored to take part in today's MLK celebration.
The first song we will be singing is called Something Inside So Strong. It was written and recorded by a man named Lebby Safray, 1987.
The second song we are singing is You've Got to Be Carefully Taught by Rodgers and Hammerstein and was featured in the musical South Pacific.
The last song is a song that most of you know, so if you do know it, please feel free to sing along.
Your barriers, the taller I become, the further you take my rights away, the faster I will run. You can deny me, you can decide to turn your face away. Something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no. There's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. The more you refuse to hear my voice, the louder I will sing. You hide behind walls of Jericho. Your lies will come tumbling. Deny my place in time. You squander wealth, that's my light will shine so brightly, 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no. Something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. Brothers and sisters, when we insist we're just not good enough, when we know better, We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. There's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong. You've got to be taught to hate and fear. You've got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are oddly made and people whose skin is a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8, to hate all the people your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be carefully taught. Love is but the song we sing, and fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains ring, or make the angels cry. Know the dove is on the wing, and you need not know why. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try and love one another right now. Some may come and some may go, but we will surely pass. Till the one who left us here returns for us at last. We are but a moment's sunlight fading on the grass. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try and love one another right now. Now. If you hear the song I sing, you must understand. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. One key unlocks them all, and it's at your command. Come on, people now,
While they're walking off, give them another hand to Senior Middle School, please. Join with your brother right now. I think that's a serious theme in our minds we should keep in mind of and think about. I think about that. I think about those young people and the hard work that they put in and what they do. I also think about the hard work that others around that never get a lot of credit do and what they brought to us. 30 years ago, a group of people got together and said, we want to respect the history and the legacy and the dream of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the people who were within that dream that fought and died to make that dream become a reality. And then 5 years ago, another young man thought of the same thing for his community and that he wanted to do the same thing. And to that young man, as I say to the people who put together this anniversary, I say to that young man, Matthew Reynolds, keep fighting. So right now, coming to our stage, we have Ashland Middle School youth keynote speakers, Jaden Muth and Bella Jackson, who are in the 8th grade. Where are you guys? They're coming. They are part of Austin Wallace's 8th grade language arts class and was given the opportunity to create a keynote speech based on this year's theme, the fierce urgency of now, tomorrow is today. Students Jada and Bella were selected to present their speech, so please welcome them to the stage and give them all of your attention and support. Thank you, guys. Good luck.
My name is Jaden Muth.
And my name is Bella Jackson, and we are both 8th graders at Ashland Middle School.
Martin Luther King's quotation, "The fierce urgency of now, tomorrow is today," is meaningful to me because I feel that we keep telling ourselves we'll wait and start tomorrow instead of today, when really we should stop procrastinating and putting things off and start now. I think that people should care because important tasks will keep being put off until it's not accomplished. My experience with procrastination as a teenager is something like not speaking up during class because you think someone might put you down, not sticking up for someone in a specific moment, and letting something go unspoken. The time is now to stand up for justice for everyone, no matter their background, sexuality, ethnicity, beliefs, or gender identity.
Martin Luther.
So hard.
Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote, this year's theme, is a quote people should care about. Instead of procrastinating, we should not put things to the side. Instead, try to make achievements now. Tomorrow is today can be interpreted as act now, don't wait. If it's something you believe in, stand up for it.
I'd like to bring attention to the people in the LGBTQ community because it's often brought up in conversation, but some teenagers still don't know about it. LGBTQ stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer. The LGBTQ community are judged especially as teenagers. This makes it hard for them to come out. Most teenagers throw out the word gay like it's pointless and doesn't mean anything, which makes some LGBTQ people insecure and shows that most teens do not understand the significance of the word. We need to start getting taught more in school about this topic because we aren't educated about this. And I feel we should have a curriculum that includes LGBTQ voices. The lack of awareness in teaching about LGBTQ topics and issues is reason phrases like "that's gay" gets thrown out lightly without the understanding of the injustice.
A new issue teenagers face is cyberbullying. This recently became a significant issue, mostly because teens and other people find it easier to bully someone online or over text message. Cyberbullying is easier than actual face-to-face bullying because you don't have to actually say anything to another person directly. Cyberbullying can cause teenagers and adults to experience mental health issues and even lead to suicide. Instead of not doing anything about bullying, try to stand up against it if you see it happening.
Another topic you should be aware of is mental health, because a lot of people, including teenagers, struggle with keeping their mind healthy. Mental health issues are not brought up a lot, and it seems to be misunderstood. Everyone knows the words depression and anxiety, but many don't know what to do if they or their friends are experiencing depression or anxiety. I think that teenagers should be more educated about this because it's very common.
According to the National Institute of Mental Health, kids aged 13 to 18 have a 25% chance of experiencing an anxiety disorder in their lifetime. And in 2015, 12% of teens have had at least one major depressive episode that year.
I hope you can take all of these ideas into consideration and use them in your life. A lot of our fellow citizens are impacted by bullying and harassment, as well as tough mental health experiences, and others are a part of the LGBTQ community.
Use this advice to help our generation for the future. Thank you for listening.
Outstanding job, Jaden and Bella. Thank you so much. You know, back in the day, I keep thinking about my time in church, growing up in Selma, and my pastor. And one of his favorite things to quote out of the Bible was, "A little child shall lead them." And today, that seems to me more important than ever. And so I say, once again, ladies, great job. Senior Middle School, great job. Thank you for all the hard work, and thank you for caring about what you're going to inherit one day, and for taking us to the next place. So this time, I would like to welcome to the stage Ashland Chamber of Commerce's Projects and Special Events Coordinator and fellow Martin Luther King Jr. Committee member, Kelsey France, who will introduce us to some very important people that we want you to know about. Kelsey?
Good afternoon, and thanks, DL. Last year, we asked local community leaders to stand up for power, justice, and love in our community and to commit to specific actionable changes throughout 2017. Here are some key updates sent directly to our committee from these individuals who made pledges on stage. From Allison Carey, Director of American Revolution's U.S. History Cycle at OSF. The Oregon Shakespeare Festival committed to a robust representation of indigenous peoples or indigenous stories and people on its stages. Randy Reinholtz's Off the Rails, the first play by a Native author at OSF, completed an extraordinary and largely sold-out run in October with an added performance on Indigenous Peoples Day. This year, yeah, let's hear it. This year, in 2018, Mary Catherine Nagel's remarkable Mannahatta, examining the removal of Native American people from their land and the attempted eradication of their culture, will open in April at OSF, making it one of 3 Native women-produced major theaters in Oregon in 2018. OSF looks forward to producing more Native-authored works in the future and continuing its works with tribal communities, SOU, and others to support the lives and rights of Indigenous people. From Sheila Clow, yeah, let's applause, let's hear it. We have 3 more to share. From Sheila Clow, CEO of Asante Ashland Community Hospital. As promised on stage last year, our hospital is focused on ensuring every patient is treated equally, regardless of their nationality, ethnicity, gender, orientation, or religious belief. We have continued to focus on training of our employees to ensure they are equipped to meet our patients' unique needs. For us, this is a journey, and we will always be focused on improving our knowledge, skills, and behaviors to ensure we treat every patient with medical and service excellence. From Erica Bear, principal of Ashland High School. Ashland High School pledged to move its EDI plan from draft to action. In doing so, a group of passionate educators and students are meeting regularly to ensure successful implementation of the plan. The staff receive cultural agility training and engages in monthly training regarding equity, diversity, and inclusion. An anonymous reporting system was put into place to report any incidents of racial harassment. A part-time equity, diversity, and inclusion coordinator position was created and filled, guiding this important work and helping to propel us forward in all areas of equity, diversity, and inclusion. We are in the process of examining and improving our curriculum to increase all students' awareness and cultural agility. We are proud of our progress, but are not yet satisfied. We will not rest until all students feel safe and included in our school's community. From Dennis Slattery, Ashland City Councilor, SOU Professor, and SOU Board of Trustees member. At last year's event, I promised to help change Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day here in Ashland. After pledging, I worked with several people to get things set, took it to the Ashland City Council, and they voted to make that day happen. Promise delivered on. Then a group of amazing community members organized the day's events, at which I made a short speech and was honored to do so, and am honored to help make this happen. I am happy to have helped, but I really only did what I thought was right. This was truly a promise I wanted to fulfill, and am beyond grateful for everyone who helped in making this possible. Thanks to each of you and your organizations for these commitments to equity and inclusion in our community. We'd now like to thank those community leaders, and if we could get the lights on a little bit, that would be great, and local dignitaries who are joining us in attendance at today's celebration. On screen, you will see a list of those individuals in attendance. I'd like to ask our audience, and here we go, audience, to welcome and thank them. Will our community leaders and dignitaries please stand and be celebrated for your dedication and hard work to make our community a better, safer place? Please stand. These people put in incredible amounts of work in our community and volunteerism and dedication, and on behalf of the Chamber and this audience, we thank you. Our MLK committee also strives for equity and inclusion by offering American Sign Language interpretation to our deaf audience members. However, this comes at a cost. If you have an interest in sponsoring this segment of our program or our event overall, please come see me at the t-shirt table before the march to the plaza, or you may reach out to me at the Ashland Chamber of Commerce. The Ashland Chamber is proud to be a part of this amazing community celebration. Happy 30th anniversary, and thank you all. I'd now like to welcome local singer-songwriter Phoenix Sigalove to the stage.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Martin Luther King Day to you all. This is a song by Michael Franti. Get a little more vocal in here, please. And a little less guitar for right now. Check one, check, check. A little more vocal, please. One, 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 one. Check, check, check. Yeah, one. Okay. been traveling down this river. So many rocks pop up in my sight. I want to make some quick decisions. Should I go left or should I go right? I pray for guidance and protection. It keeps my boat watertight. I know if I keep on believing, every little thing gonna be alright. When I wake up in the morning, wanna see you in the light. When I wake up in the morning, I wanna see you in the light. Vampires gather around me, angled in to take a bite. Wanna drink my blood of courage, wanna take away my fire. No, they can't do that. The one truth I learned in life, wanna chase away the vampires. You simply guide them into the light. But when I wake up in the morning, I hope I see you in the light. When I wake up in the morning, I hope I see you in the light, yeah. In the morning, 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 in the morning. When my time is done, I did some right, I did some wrong. Call my name, the kingdom come. Watch my wings take flight. When my day is over, my love, I see you in the light. When my day is over, you know I'll see you in the light, yeah. In the loveliness, in the tenderness, the hopefulness, the togetherness, the loveliness, and the happiness, togetherness, and the hopefulness. In the morning, 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 in the morning. Thank you so much. Matthew Kremmelman and Nick Kirby on bass. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bless you.
One more time for Finger Sigalo. Thank you so much. Things have always been great for us and has done a great job every time he shows up, so it's always exciting for us to have him here and to have him as a part of our celebration. It's also exciting. Now, here's what I'm starting to think, because I want to make sure I don't say anything too wrong. I used to say a lot of things wrong, but I'll try not to say too much wrong today. Is it too late? No, okay. Now, I want to make sure that you guys aren't too comfortable in your seats. I want to make sure that when things go on and when things are being said and sung, that you aren't so comfortable that you feel like you can't move out of your seat. So when you feel an urge to move, move. When you feel the urge to say something, say something. I told you guys years ago that, hey, from a Baptist church I am, so I expect to hear a little amen when I finish talking. I haven't heard amen this morning. Can I hear amen? You are about to hear someone that's going to bring a couple of amens to your mouth because he is a dynamic speaker, and I'm so looking forward to hearing him as our keynote speaker today. Coming to the stage for us will be Dr. Roy Hirofumi Saigo. Yes, please. Dr. Saigo was born in Sacramento, California, and grew up in rural Vacaville and Elk Grove, except for 3 years during World War II, when his family was sent to a war relocation camp in Gila Bend, Arizona. Dr. Saigo received a Bachelor of Science in Biological Sciences from the University of California, Davis, where he also played baseball, and received a PhD in Botany and Plant Pathology from Oregon State University, where he met his wife-to-be, Barbara, who has been, and the two of them have been married for 50 years. Give that a hand. Together they have a wonderful family of 3 children and 3 grandchildren, most of which are seated with us today and in to listen to our event and to Dr. Saigo. Dr. Saigo has always operated with a strong ethical and moral sense, influenced in part by the injustices his family endured both during and after the war. As a university administrator, most recently at SOU, he has used his positions to consistently and powerfully advocate for fair and equitable policies and actions at local and national levels, and has spoken out forcefully on issues, and sometimes at personal and professional peril. As he says, quote, "I speak for those who have no voice," end quote. Dr. Saigo is one of those individuals to me. I met him years ago, and he's one of those folks, and you know what I'm talking about, that as soon as you start talking to them, you feel like you've known them for years. And they make you feel comfortable no matter what they're saying to you, no matter what they're telling you should be doing, they still make you feel comfortable. And that's one of the nicest things I think I can say about anyone. And I'm definitely saying that about Dr. Roy Saigo. And ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome him to the stage.
Thank you, DL. Thank you for your wonderful introduction. I'm honored to be your speaker for the annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. I'd also like to thank the Planning Committee and the so many volunteers that we have here today. Also, thank you to our audience. You, the audience, is why Barbara and I have decided to remain in Ashland. Now, for the theme for today, the fierce urgency of now is more urgent today than ever before. Our nation is at a crossroad of racial and cultural division at a level I have not experienced in my lifetime, and I'm older than salt. We must become ever more resolute in our convictions and actions. I'm going to ask all of you to go on an unbelievable journey, and are you ready? First slide. War. Bombing of Pearl Harbor and Hawaii brought the United States into World War II. Using propaganda, propaganda is an important weapon. People are afraid. We are easy to target. We look different, speak a different language, we worship in a different way, and we eat with sticks. Our eyes are not round. They think we are sneaky. Their uneasiness is fed by false assumptions and hysterical newscasts and articles. False news is not a new category today. Fear, disgust, increasing caricature towards subhuman exaggeration. Interesting that vestiges of anti-black racism are evident in some of the posters. Anti-Japanese sentiment stroked by newspapers, public leaders, movies, cartoons, and hysterical broadcasts. Finally, depict the enemy as truly not human. Hateful and grotesque propaganda. Remember, part of the campaign against Native Americans was one of extermination, terminology that is used for animals. Bounties were offered for heads, scalps, ears, and other body parts. This is the kind of ugly work that contributed to the public acceptance of the removal and incarceration of people of Japanese ancestry. Even more, however, this propaganda created images and prejudices that still exist today. Executive Order 9066. Are we experiencing similar feelings today? Thank you, you're with me. Muslims, Mexicans, terrorists, foreigners are all dangerous. General John DeWitt, Commanding General, Western Defense Command. And please read, I don't have to read it for you. Think about the absurdity of that statement. Nothing has happened, which means that something surely will happen. The absence of evidence is evidence. This absurdity defies reason, but it reflects racism and the hysteria following Pearl Harbor. So here it is. I want you to imagine being for a while. Let this be your personal journey. What I am asking you to do is very, very difficult. Imagine you are a Japanese American. Different color, different appearance, different foods, different heritage from the majority. You are seen as undesirable by the majority. Then all of you here have a week. All of you here have a week to leave your homes and businesses. This order includes you, your children, and your elders. You will be labeled as Japs, the same pejorative term used for the war enemy and having the same derogatory impact as the N-word. You have no due process. You will be removed. What do you feel? Confusion, fear, indignation, outrage, urgency, panic, hopelessness, despair. What do you feel? What a difference a day makes. One day, we, you and me in the audience, were productive, educated, industrious members of society. Doctors, teachers, business owners, agriculturists, college and medical school students, writers in arts, church members, mothers and fathers, grandfathers and children. The next day, we were publicly targeted for removal from society to remote rural areas. Summarily, without due process or appeal, we were targeted for removal and incarceration in remote centers. They said for our own protection and military necessity. We went without protest or uprising with a philosophy of showing we were good participants in American society. About 60% of us were American citizens and 40% of us were children. We were taught to work hard, be good citizens, stay out of trouble, not to bring shame or dishonor on our families, and always to behave in a way that showed our respect and patriotism for the United States of America. Two statements I heard a lot growing up, and my parents didn't speak English. Shidatanai, it can't be helped. Nothing we can do, so just suck it up and move on. Gambare, be strong, be tough, and do what is necessary to survive. We were taught giri, the sense of duty that pervades all relationships, duty to family, friends, country, and be honorable. Be loyal. Do not bring shame. How can this be happening? Surely our friends and neighbors, churches, civic organizations, and fellow citizens will stand up for us. The city, law enforcement, and state government must help. We have been law-abiding, respectful, productive members of American society. Take only what you can carry. What would you take? Clothes, toiletries? What would you do with your house? You have 1 week. Furniture, dishes, silver, guns, photo albums, toys, heirlooms, and even your pets. Businesses, crops, furniture, cars. And students always tell me, hey, we could sell it. What? In 1 week? After that, the neighbors could come and riffle through everything that you have owned. You have 1 week. And in Vacaville, we destroyed valuable heirlooms, tea sets, family albums, family shrines, and traditional clothing. We threw them into a ravine and torched it with gasoline. We virtually destroyed our family history. We did not exist. We didn't want strangers picking over our things. Are you still with me? All right. Boarding the train. Some by bus, some by train, some by cars or trucks. Where were we going? What was the government and military going to do with us? First, to assembly centers and horse race tracks. Some racetracks had been hastily converted to assembly centers. They were big enough, large numbers of people can be surrounded up, and there will be a fence around the entire thing. And we could be guarded. This is your home. So here you are. What would you be thinking at this moment? Now, you're still with me. You're on this trip. You've dressed in your best outfits. And now you're looking at your new home. Can you smell the horse manure? Can you smell the urine? Then you ask, why? We did nothing wrong. Then the long-term relocation centers are on the board now. The smaller temporary sites are assembly centers. And this is where people were sent from their homes temporarily, like the racetracks, and then stayed there for 2-3 weeks, and subsequently were sent to relocation centers located inland for the Pacific coast. My family went from rural Vacaville, between Sacramento and San Francisco, to Gila River, Arizona. It's a long trek. Manzanar Relocation Center. From the assembly centers, people were moved to the inland relocation centers. The military outlay of Manzanar was typical. Rows of barracks, communal mess halls, showers, and latrines. And there's no privacy. Even the toilets had no partitions or doors. My mother used to take us every morning extra early so we could avoid the rush. The new life, what you worked on for a lifetime of dreams and efforts, is now this. You folks have no future. You don't know what you're going to do in the morning, and your hands are empty. Control and hope are gone. Home for the duration. This is the personal space. This is what you're going to be staying in. Each person was provided an army cot and straw-filled mattress. This gentleman has constructed a clothesline closet for his belongings. Remember, just a few weeks ago, you had your own bed. Gila River Camp. My family was taken to Secaucus, Arizona, near Phoenix, not the one over here, the Gila River Relocation Center, the federal government negotiated to lease land on the Pima Indian Reservation for 2 Gila River camps, approximately 17,000 acres. Some of the other camps were also located on tribal lands. This is my older brother, Takeshi, with me in front of our wartime home in Gila. Have any of you ever been to Arizona desert in the summer? Not comfortable. Now we're going to transition just a little bit. The U.S. government decided to form an all-Japanese American military unit. It combined Americans from Hawaii who were living free and volunteers who were living behind barbed wire in the mainland camps. Japanese American and African American troops were in segregated units. In both cases, we were initially to provide support. Only later did the U.S. government decide to put these soldiers into battle. The Fighting 442 Battalion had the highest rate of death and injuries of any American unit during the World War II. In the end, they were the most highly decorated unit. 21 Medals of Honor were awarded. Japanese Americans also served in the Military Intelligence Service, serving as translators and in other ways. This is an upbeat official news report in the Phoenix Republic, but it portrays a poignant message. Notice the euphemism of evacuees. Term usually applies to people fleeing disasters such as earthquakes and war zones. We were internees or detainees, or actually prisoners. Current term, incarcerees, being used. In the meantime, Japanese American soldiers were earning Purple Hearts and dying, while families waited behind barbed wire. I am transitioning again, and you're going to have to read quickly. Let me pull my experiences together with Dr. Martin Luther King's initiatives. Dr. King put his life on the line to rally against the denial of equal treatment on the basis of race. In the 1940s, a few cases related to Japanese internment went to the U.S. Supreme Court. These were not cases of disloyalty or espionage, but mainly of risking oneself to challenge what was happening. Remember, no spying, no fifth column. Fred Korematsu deliberately challenged the constitutionality of the removal and internment. He was arrested, tried, and convicted. His case went to the Supreme Court. Fred Korematsu lost his case by a ruling of 8-3, but the words of dissenting Justice Murphy were powerful. Justice Murphy's opinions made a strong statement: I dissent from this legalization of racism. We were told that we were incarcerated for our own protections. Okay, so why didn't the U.S. government incarcerate the people of Japanese ancestry in Pearl Harbor? Isn't that where the attack took place? It was because the city would have collapsed economically. Economics. Fast forward to 1963. This tragedy is well remembered. Justice was a long time coming. It's fair to ask why. A young law student closely followed the trials of the Birmingham bombers, apparently sometimes skipping classes to be in the courtroom. In 1997, when he was a U.S. attorney, he led the prosecution to convict the remaining 2 men. In 2017, he was elected to be a U.S. Senator for Alabama. Isn't that the most, having been chancellor at Auburn University in Montgomery, Alabama, isn't that the most wonderful news to see the people and citizens of Alabama vote in new justice. Chief Justice, U.S. Supreme Court. Also speaking in the 1940s, Justice Hughes warned of the fragility of civil rights. Note the part I have highlighted. This must be you and me. We are responsible for our own freedoms. We must not stand aside and be spectators or victims. We must speak up and be engaged and be watchful. It is only a book with words without you standing up and speaking your piece. Now we have a chronology. Martin Luther King Jr. and his colleagues in the fight for civil rights knew the things I just said. In his eulogy for the little girls, it is interesting, he did not attack the bombers. I would expect him to be angry with the bombers. Rather, he called out the system and the people who allowed the environment for such hateful actions. He called out the blacks. He called out the ministers. He called out us for not speaking out to defend those young children. The theme for our celebration is the fierce urgency of now. The people in leadership positions in our community were introduced to you today. And I know them personally, and I could name them, but I want you to understand. Our mayor is here. Our city council members are here. The Chamber of Commerce is here. President of SOU is here. Chief of Police is here. Clergy are here. Healthcare, and you heard about Asante, and other community leaders. I have the privilege of personally knowing these folks, and they are wonderful, good-hearted, and willing people. And I'm going to tell you, thank you. This is where you all come in. I'm going to tell you, and I believe this with all my heart, they want you to assist them in making our community a better place. They want you to meet with them. They want your resolutions and petitions, and they want your ideas and input and your support in making things happen to make Ashland a much better place than it was 50 years ago. Don't you ever ask yourself, why do we have dignitaries? Why do we have them sitting in a special place? Why are they here? You know why? Because they want to help you make a difference. That's why they're here. We will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. You have a choice. Stay silent or speak up. In our current national environment of a deeply divided nation, we in the Rogue Valley must become the nation we want our country to become. We must become the nation that we want our country to become. Let's start here. Let us become the community of the fierce urgency of action now. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Dr. Sygos, thank you so much for those words. Thank you so much for your challenge to us as a community. And I'm sure we all were listening, were we not? Amen. At this time, we're going to ask that we turn up the lights just a little bit, please, because I need you to see some people. So every year, we're honored to have with us folks who fought in our armed services and who protected the country, and some who have taken residence in the Veterans Administration at White City, and we would like to ask them first to stand and be recognized. I would also like to continue that and ask that if there's anyone who served in our armed services, please stand up so that we can recognize you as well. Thank you. And once more, and we wanted to add this as well, to all of those people who put their lives and and show their commitment daily and have done so, our firefighters, our police officers, our Peace Corps and AmeriCorps volunteers, all of you, please stand up. If you've ever been a part, stand up. You need to be recognized. We thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for your service in every aspect. Thank you. Next, we are going to, if you would with me, turn our attention to the screens. We lost, as we do every year, unfortunately, we lose so many people that have meant so much to our world, meant so much to our community, have meant so much to our way of life. We like to put up folks that have been extra special, we think, during the civil rights movement and what have you, as having gotten us to where we are now. And so we hope that you would look at the names that are being shown here, take a moment to recognize the importance of them, and in your own way, remember them. Thank you.
A name I know and I think you should know too. In 1944, Reese Taylor was a young wife and a mother. She was just walking home from a church service she'd attended in Abbeville, Alabama, when she was abducted by 6 armed white men, raped and left blindfolded by the side of the road, coming home from church. They threatened to kill her if she ever told anyone. But her story was reported to the NAACP, where a young worker by the name of Rosa Parks became the lead investigator on her case. And together, they sought justice. But justice wasn't an option in the era of Jim Crow. The men who tried to destroy her were never persecuted. It was somewhere in Rosa Parks' heart almost 11 years later when she made the decision to stay seated on that bus in Montgomery. And it's here with every woman who chooses to say, "Me too."
We all want to make a place in this world. We all want our voices to be heard. Everyone wants a chance to be someone. We all have dreams we need to dream, but sweeter than any star you can reach is when you reach and find you found someone. You'll hold this world's most priceless thing. The greatest gift this life can bring is when you look back and know you are loved. You are loved by someone, touched by someone, held by someone, meant something to someone, loved somebody, touched somebody's heart along the way. You can look back and say, you are loved. Yes, you are. You can have diamonds in your hands, have all the riches in the land, but without love, you don't really have a thing. No, no, no.
trust you with their life. That's when you know that you have all you need. You hold this world's most priceless gift, the finest treasure that there is. You can look back and know you are loved. Oh, you were loved by someone, touched by someone, held by someone, meant something to someone. You love somebody, touch somebody's heart along the way. You can look back and say, yes, you are loved. So many roads that you can take, whatever way you go, don't take that road alone. It's better you should know you are loved by someone, touched by someone, held by someone, meant something to someone. Love somebody, touch somebody's heart along the way. You can look back and say, loved by someone, touched by someone, held by someone, meant something to someone. Love somebody, touch somebody's heart along the way. You can look back and say, you did okay. You were loved. So remember to tell that special one. Yes. You are loved. You are loved. You're loved. You are loved.
I wanna go on a picnic in the country, mama, home and stay all day. I don't care if I don't do nothing, just while my time away. Well, my baby, yes, my baby, I love the way she walk. When a girl gets sleepy, I love the way she baby talk. I wanna go on a picnic in the country, mama, oh, and stay all day. I don't care if I don't do nothing, just while my time away. I had a blues so bad one time it put my face in a permanent frown. But now I'm feeling so much better, I can cakewalk into town.
Yes. I'd like to bring your attention to a wonderful event tonight, or this evening, I should say. So please join the members and families of the Ashland Interfaith Clergy Circle as the 30th anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr. Community Celebration continues with a potluck dinner conversation around healing and resilience and nourishment in this fierce urgency of now. If you'd like to attend the event, the dinner will be tonight from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Trinity Episcopal Church on 2nd Street in Ashland. For more information, you can always visit their event on Ashland Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Facebook page. So now I'd like to welcome to the stage as well David Young and the Shabbat Shara Ensemble performing Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. In the screens, you will also see images of Dr. King, again, wanting to recognize that this year will mark the 50th anniversary of his death. And so we need to continue asking, where's the dream? How close have we come? What do we need to do to continue? And I think this is a wonderful opportunity for us to think about that, to think about him, and to say thank you, David, for bringing us into this. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, David Young.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. And kids, you're our future. We got your back. Let's do it together. I'm joined by Barry Fremkus and Ian Harland. And this is your time to sing with us. If you know it, sing it, please. They say there is a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw him standing on the roof, his beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. He tied you to a kitchen chair, he broke your throne, he cut your hair, and from your lips he drew the hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. You say I took the name in vain. I don't even know the name, but if I did, well, really, what's it to you? There's a blaze of light in every word. It doesn't matter which you heard, the holy or the broken. Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah. I did my best. It wasn't much I couldn't feel, so I learned to touch. I told the truth, I didn't come to fool ya. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of Song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Please continue thanking David, Shabbat, and Sharav Ensemble. Please. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so very much. Dr. Fred Shuttlesworth, who was one of Dr. King's closest, as they used to call him, lieutenants, would say things, and he and Dr. King would have arguments about so many different things. One about which was being on time for things, because apparently Dr. King was notoriously late for such things. So I'm glad to know I was in good company. That's usually what I'm saying about me. But one of the things I remember asking Dr. Shuttlesworth, I said, what was one of the things Dr. King hated to do the most? And I expected such things as the fear of standing before people, knowing that other folks were there and wanted to kill you, or what have you. And he said, fundraising. Fundraising was one of the things he hated to do the most. And I understand that. And so I hate it, but I'm going to have to do it right now. We always say, I've been fortunate enough to be with the MLK celebration now. This is my 15th year, and I'm so proud of it. We've gone to the power company before and told them of the great works we've done here, and they've said good. They did not offer to pay a bill, but they said good. So we want to continue, though, doing the work that we do. And so we do ask, if there's anything that you would like to donate today, you will see, no one's coming around with the basket now, don't worry. But I know I said I'm in the Baptist church. I'm not bringing the collection plate here, okay. But going out, if you see bats or you see plates or what have you, please feel free to donate. Also feel free that we have T-shirts available for sale. You've seen the black T-shirts that the students have worn. They're on sale for $12 for today's venue, and if they're not, if you don't get one today, they're very much available at the Ashland Chamber of Commerce. Amanda Denbeck, one of our committee members, is the person who did the design of those shirts. She's done the design for years, and she does a great job every year. And I don't know if she's here today, but if she is, please give her a hand now. Thank you. While I'm in that frame of thinking, please make out any checks to the Ashland Chamber of Commerce, because they are our fiscal agent and legal and lead sponsor for this event. And they've come on now. I think they're in their 4th year. Kelsey and Sandra have done such a great job for us, and we thank them so much for helping us and letting this program remain. Please give them a hand. I want to make sure that you know that we will have, as we do every year, a march from here in the Armory over to Varsity Theater to pick up those folks that are listening at the Varsity Theater. And to those folks at the theater, thank you so much. Every year we can't get everyone in, and the Varsity Theater has donated one of the movie rooms for us to let people in and see this event. And so to the Varsity Theater, we say thank you. And to those people that are there, thank you. So you should know that we're on the way. We're almost getting ready to go. We're almost heading there. We're going to go from here to the Varsity, pick everyone up, head down to the plaza, and at the plaza, one of our committee members, Preston Mosier, will be delivering, or not delivering, but not performing, but giving, putting forth the speech, I'm sorry, to Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. Now, if you've never heard it, echoing off of the buildings in the plaza, it's not the same. You feel like you're there because it's so amazing to hear those words, to know those words. If you've never heard the entirety of the speech, most of us only heard the very beginning or the very middle part of the speech and the end, the speech about the 4 little girls and him talking about what he hoped for out of life. The entire speech needs to be heard if you never have. We're going to stand there and we're going to take it all in, and we're just blessed and thankful that we have this opportunity to fellowship with all of you, to be able to bring races and to bring religion and to bring whatever else together so that we can share this moment. Remember now, we're not just celebrating Dr. King. Dr. King would have never wanted, in my opinion, and in a lot of the scholars that I've spoken with and people that I've spoken with that knew him, would have never wanted a day named after him. He wanted that day to be known more as a Civil Rights Workers' Day, because it was important to remember those people who laid down their lives so that we had a right to vote even. Those are the things you need to remember. When you cast your vote currently, know that people fought and died for you to have that right. People fought and died for you to have that right. So I want to say again, thank you so much. Thank you for everything that you've done for us, for making this day a possibility. Thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to come together and share and to listen to the youth, the future, to give them support and let them know that they have, like the gentleman said, we got your back. We'll take care of you. We're going to help you help us. We're going to make it. I truly believe we're going to make it. Amen. So, Ashland High School and Southern Oregon University's Black Student Union members will lead the way for our march. But before we go, before we get out of here, I promise you that Bishop's band would be back, that he and the group would take us home. And that's what they're going to do. After they're done, we're all going to meet outside, we're going to march down, and we are going to make people know that the dream is still alive, that the people are still a community, and that we will make a difference no matter what. No matter who tries to stop us, no matter what. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Take us home, guys.
Check 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Can we get a nice round of applause for Mr. D.L.? That brother there is magnificent year in and year out. Yes, he is. We're Bishop Mayfield and friends. We'd like to thank everyone here involved for inviting us. It was an honor to be here today. I'd like to get a nice round of applause for all the performers, especially Scenic Middle School. I really enjoyed your performance. But all the performers were great. I don't know why I have so much bass, but that's okay. I can work with that. No, we're good. We're good. So we're going to take you home with a tune by a young man who did write this song right around that time, 1970s, I believe. His name is Mr. Steve Miller, and it goes something like this. If you feel like getting up and dancing, now's the time. Into the future. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly enough to eat. I want to shoe the children, put shoes on their feet. We want to house the people who are living on the streets. Oh, that's a solution. I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly to the future. I want to fly into the future. Pat Jenkins, come on. Nice round of applause for Pat Jenkins. Dave, tell your story. You see, time keeps on slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping into the future. Fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly into the future. Let me say that one more time. I want to feed the babies who don't get enough to eat. I want to shoe the children, put shoes on their feet. We want to house the people living on the streets. Oh, that's the solution. I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let my spirit carry me. I want to fly into the future. I want to fly high into the future. I want to fly into the future. We need to fly high into the future. Hey! Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. I'm hoping we do one more thing. I'm so sorry that I forgot. I wanted to lift up the name of Tanisha, who died, Ashland Man, and his mother, who lives here, still here, and remember them, remember him. If you remember, he died on the Portland train this past year, helping save someone's life. And I want to lift up his name and remember that as we go out. Thank you so much for remembering. Thank you so much. Bishop, you want to keep going? You want to keep going? Let's do one more. One more, and then we're out of here. Take care.
We're gonna play a little funky blues for you on your way out. And have a wonderful day, guys. How you doing, Chief? Anyway, wonderful event. Enjoy the rest of the day, folks. When I was a young boy, people tried to tell me that I was moving way too fast. But I knew everything about everything. I really didn't want to listen to a bunch of old folks talking trash. So I got out on the highway, pedaled to the floor, smoking and drinking, and a whole lot more. When they came to collect me out of that jail, they said, boy, next time you get snow bail, you better slow down. Or you better slow down. Woke up one morning to a hunger where I moaned and I began to twitch. Felt the need for some loving. Oh, real sweet somebody. I need a girl to scratch my itch, or to scratch my itch. Now, I don't mean to pry, but I'm here to advise ya. Seeds like to grow when you put them in fertilizer. You better slow down, or you better slow down. Come on, Dave. Mama said, now I don't mean to pry, but I'm here to advise ya. Seeds like to grow when you put them in fertilizer. You better slow down, or you better slow down. Now I'm doing my own thing. You see, I'm all grown up, just a little bit older, but I feel like a young buck. Now I'm driving down the highway in a brand new minivan. My wife and kids are screaming, oh God, I'm a family man. I'm out of my mind, losing control. Well, I could leave tomorrow, but I ain't got nowhere to go. You better slow down, or you need to slow down, or you better slow down. Well, you need to slow down. Hey! Thank you so much.